Law of definite proportions or Proust's law was named after a French chemist named Joseph Proust. The law of definite proportions states that a chemical compound will always contain a fixed proportion of elements by mass, regardless of its source and preparation method. Materials: Bunsen burner, crucible and cover, crucible tongs, 30 centimeter magnesium ribbon, heating mat, tripod, pipe clay triangle, plastic pipettes, and analytical balance. Experimental procedure. After gathering all the materials needed for the experiment, a dry and clean crucible and cover were obtained. With the pipe clay resting on a tripod, the crucible and the lid were heated for approximately 5 minutes using the Bunsen burner with its blue flame. The crucible and cover were allowed to cool down for approximately 10 minutes before checking its temperature. A simple technique that was used when checking the crucible's temperature, if it is still hot, is by carefully passing the hand few inches over the crucible to feel for any heat. The crucible was allowed to cool down longer after sensing some heat. Using crucible tongs, the crucible and cover were gently and carefully placed on the analytical balance and weighed to the nearest 0.001 gram. The mass were recorded. With the 30 centimeter of magnesium ribbon, an emery paper was used to clean and was later wiped using a paper towel. The magnesium ribbon was rolled nicely into a coil to fit the bottom of the crucible. The magnesium coil that was placed inside the crucible and the lid were weighed. The mass were recorded. Using the Bunsen burner and pipe clay triangle, the crucible, magnesium coil, and the lid that was slightly angled were heated for approximately 10 minutes on a hot flame. The crucible was heated until a white residue that was formed stopped glowing when the lid was carefully opened. The gas and Bunsen burner was turned off and the crucible was allowed to cool down for about 10 minutes. Using a plastic pipette, 10 to 15 drops of water were added inside the cooled crucible. The crucible with the lid was then heated for approximately 5 minutes. The crucible was cooled for about 10 minutes. The gas and Bunsen burner were turned off. The crucible, contents, and lid were weighed and the mass were recorded. Safety risks and prevention. Extra care is needed when handling a hot crucible. It can cause severe burns, so it is important to use crucible tongs when handling and transferring it. Wearing safety glasses are essential at all times to protect the eyes as crucible can shatter when heated. When burning the magnesium ribbon, it gives a very bright white light. It is imperative not to look at this light directly as it can hurt the eyes. The law of definite proportion states that a chemical compound will always contain a fixed proportion of elements by mass. Salt, or chemically known as sodium chloride, is made up of two atoms, sodium and chlorine. In order for us to create salt, the exact same proportion must be combined. Another example is water. It is made up of two hydrogen atoms and one oxygen atom. If the proportion of these atoms will be different, then another different compound will be formed. Another example is when making a cake using a specific recipe like a Black Forest cake. If the baker was asked to make two cakes, the quantity of the ingredients has to be doubled using the same exact proportion or ratio. If the proportion of the ingredients are changed, then the cake will be different and it will not be a Black Forest cake. In conclusion, a chemical compound will always have a constant proportion of elements by its mass, thus what we call the law of definite proportions.